You haven't seen that's been going on? So she called what people have said that he was a 5-year-old autistic black kid. I don't think he was 5. I think he was a little bit older than that, but that's neither here nor there. You don't need to be calling kids a nigger at the park. She called him a nigger because she tried to say he was like stealing something from her daughter.
I did see that.
And apparently she's raised like up over like $500,000 so far for like whatever, like moving and protection or whatever they're trying to say. And all of the conservatives, the Matt Walshes, I don't think Charlie Kirk has, but the Myron gangs, or Amor, as I learned his name is Amor. That's his real name, Myron Gangs. That's his Sudanese name. And just a whole bunch of other just racist white people have just kind of latched onto this and like turned her into a symbol. And I think my first take over this is like, white niggas are so, like, you white boys are so soft. Like, your women have to do y'all work for y'all for everything. These the ones that y'all got to send to us to be tough. Why ain't y'all white boys calling us niggas to our faces and calling men niggas? Like, if you really tough, if you really about the word, if you really not scared of the problems and the repercussions that come with it, why don't y'all just say it to us and just see what happens then? Go up and just say to a random black person, call him a nigger, call him a nigga. Just see what happens. Try it. Don't send your women to go to parks and call kids that. Because I've been seeing them get tough. Like, oh yeah, we're tired of this. We're tired of being told what we can't say. We'll do it. Say it. And just make sure that you can get home afterwards.
I think white women will always have that type of audacity because they can stand behind white men.
But the white men ain't going to defend them.
They are, though.
They'll defend them with the money.
Isn't she being defended by white men? Like,
I mean, it's probably more than white men. Because
yeah.
I done seen some nasty black men talk about sending money to her too. But I'm talking about physical defense. You talking about what they can do financially. Mm-hmm. Like, I was in spaces the other day listening to white national spaces talk about this. And it's crazy to listen to these white people have these discussions because they sound like the crazy black niggas having their discussions, talking about, oh, we can get the money. The money is here. We can raise that up for our causes and stuff like that. And it's like, y'all are so obsessed with us. Ever since that they told y'all can't tell us to hit the fields anymore, like on y'all whim, y'all have been so obsessed with controlling us. Y'all been so obsessed. That's what got the boy killed in Texas at the track meet, because y'all want to control us. Instead of teaching y'all kids how to call a teacher and having a teacher or an authority figure handle that.
White people overstep boundaries all the time because they feel like they're like authoritative figures.
Especially when it's colored people involved.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you see Marc Lamont was on Piers Morgan discussing this?
No, I did not see that.
So he got caught up with the debate regarding it, which I don't even think that's the stupid part of even having the debate around this. But he got caught up with Myron, and they had, remember that white girl that we talked about that said nigga and then got like on all these podcasts? She was on there, and there was another woman who was a little bit more sensible. But Myron goes up there, acts an ass. He ends up playing like chimp music while Marc is talking. He has a little gun that says nigger, that shoots a nigger post out. He was really being like wildly disrespectful. But there was one point that really stuck out was when Piers was talking to the white girl and he kind of like challenged her to say the N-word. So I'm going to play a little bit of that here.
I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
go
not
on then,
have
say
to,
it. Say
you
the
will
N-
not have
Go on,
free
go on. Say the N-word. Go on.
No.
Don't invite.
No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
And that's why I'm not upset with Marc, because I was, like I said, I discussed with him on spaces regarding having conversations with these kind of people and things like that. But I want to talk to people more about how you actually address these kind of clowns, because there is an art to it. You can't just fight them with logic. You can't go with reason. You can't go facts. You have to play their game. And what I mean by that is you have to show them they aren't who they say they are. So when you go to a clown like Myron, and this is what he actually Marc did on his live where he talked about it, you should never have called Myron by that name. You should have called him Amor the entire time. Make sure everybody hears his Sudanese name every time you address him. That's the only, but he didn't know Myron was going to be on there. So that's why I got to give you grace on that. But this is how you want to handle them, because they aren't, he is a clown. And as you represent, like I said, he is just someone who tries to act like he's an African American, say racist charge things against black people to gain a white audience. He's just a dude boy and a clown. We discussed on here when they was calling him a sand nigger in Spaces to his face. And he was acting like a little hoe. So that's what I mean when you got to address that. You have to point out the fact that they are clowns and that they are do boys for it. He did call him Uncle Tom. I did appreciate that. But you got to understand, these people don't fight fair. They don't fight with reason or logic. Candace Owens, all of them. You have to attack them with the idiots that they show themselves to be. And to show them that they are not consistent in any of these arguments that they have. But it's easy to fall for the clips because even Myron was cutting up clips and all this other stuff because Marc is going to let these people talk. So even when they're spewing all of these lies, misinformation, and stereotypes, you kind of get stuck in the actual parameters of, respecting the program.
Yeah, because you can't all speak at the same time and you can't cut people off even though they're spewing nonsense garbage. You have to let them get their shit off.
I don't know if you could trust Piers after pulling the couple moves he done pulled on you a few times regarding this. The Israel-Palestine conversations they had. I think that this might be something you might want to recheck with. I know he's a good colleague of yours, and y'all both had they've been ostracized in the media for takes that they've had before in the past. So I can understand when there's some camaraderie around that. But Piers be trying to set you up for failure, man. He can at least tell you who's gonna be on the guest, so you can know and prepare yourself. Like I think that's, even if that's something he does for everybody, where it's just a random thing, I don't think that's cool. That shouldn't be something that people be comfortable with.
Either that or you just need a folder in your phone of just like for all of the conservatives that might pop up on these panels with you. Just like a little
just have like an extra little Rolodex of just what little bombs you can put for them.
Yeah. You need to be prepared for these motherfuckers.
Myron, like that, now they're doing this thing where they go on college campuses and they talk to kids and they have these quote unquote debates where they just cut up and show the ones where they make the kids who are uninformed look stupid. And I just feel like right now, the way that they've been pushing that and the way that content's coming out, we have to get on the offensive on people who are opposite of this. Like I'm talking about we don't even have to be on the same side of the left. Like, I mean, we have to just address this kind of misinformation at the head, because if it bleeds out into common thought even more, we just seen what happened. Like we can get into the situation that just happened with the gentleman that was arrested for killing an officer. So I think his name was Rodney Hilton Jr.
Yeah.
He was arrested for killing an officer, and his son, who was just involved in another incident, which they accused of being an alleged stolen vehicle, but with more information that's been coming out. Oh, Hinton? Okay. I apologize. But no, his son was an alleged, what they said they believe was a stolen vehicle, but more information has been potentially coming out where they're believed that it may not have been stolen in the traditional sense, but actually stolen in regards to there was back on payments. So in the system, it looks to the police as just stolen, like a universal stolen, but this is just, they didn't pay the vehicle off, and so now they can tow it away.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily own the vehicle anymore because they missed their payments. And so that's where they said this turned into. And I don't know if you've seen, there was a clip of either his cousin that was talking about apologizing because his brother Ryan wasn't supposed to be in the car. But Ryan runs out of the car when the police come and they shoot him, saying that he pointed a gun at them while he's running away, which doesn't make any sense.
That's always the case. These black men are always running away in modes of self-defense or something like that, or in fight or flight, and then the cops feel like, oh, they're in danger. If you constantly feel like you're in danger, you maybe shouldn't be a cop.
No, I mean, that's exactly what his words were saying. He feared for his life.
They always fear for their lives.
It's part of the protocol. They actually tell you to say that in your training. But no, I mean, people would love for us to come up here and either be one side or the other in regards to our feelings towards Rodney. When you live in a world where you see your people and people who look like you getting killed, getting unfairly tried, getting unfair bails, being part of the group of people who are the largest people who are convicted incorrectly in error. You know, when you just look at that and all the disadvantages that come with being black, and to have your son lose his life in that mind, in that type of environment, that type of way, in that harsh, gruesome way, that's going to turn somebody into a person who will act rash. And even though he didn't go after, like, this isn't like premeditated in the sense where he hunted down and found the officer who shot his son. No, he retaliated by killing the first person he saw with a badge. And in this situation where you feel like your son is never going to get the justice that he deserves,
You know he's not.
why would you feel anything other but to sacrifice yourself for him, so that that person who killed him knows that you killed another officer because of your actions?
Yeah.
What you did to my son is why now officer and his family have to go through problems and issues, and you got to live with that knowing it was your fault.
Yeah, even though he had nothing to do with it technically.
And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, seeing him walk up with his head high, looking every one of those officers in the eye, one of the most powerful things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't like hold his head down. I'm glad he kept his head up and looked at all of them in the face. They were dead ass just trying to intimidate him in that court, and it did not work. He was not intimidated one bit. He didn't seem ashamed. He stood on business, and there's like I have nothing but like tens for you. Like I don't know. There's been a lot of drama in the court while he's being tried. In the crowd, like his family and stuff, like they got into it with some other people. I don't know what was going on back there. And then the next day, all of the cops like took up all of the space on the benches so that like his family and his supporters and the public had nowhere else to sit. One of his cousins came up, tapped on the glass to let him know that he was there for him. And then all of the police like rushed his cousin. It's been like, it's so representatory of like where we are right now. Like, we're frustrated and they're bullies. And that's where we are.
I mean, I spoke to this earlier saying that this is the reason why they are, you know, implementing more cop cities and stuff like that around the country, because civil unrest is inevitability when you have fascism. And what we just voted is that was fascism. And that is only going to be inevitable. This is going to become far more common. This is going to become something that we probably going to hear more on the news more frequently than it's probably ever happened, just because of just the type of person who's in office, what that attracts from the media. And the media goes and tries to find these particular stories, because this stuff happens all the time. You hear about police getting killed in incidences. You hear about police killing people just in your regular day-to-day town. Like if you go and listen to just regular news, you can hear incidences going on with your police. Like I was just scaling through on Twitter and I heard, here it is. Okay. So it was just like this what happened.
Georgia police chief has been placed on leave after allegations that he ordered a sergeant to cover up for his brother, who is a suspect in a murder investigation. Boy, spicy. Let's get deeper into this story. And so we find out that the Jonesboro police chief, whose name is Michael Yates, was put on non-disciplinary administrative leave after the GBI, or Georgia Bureau of Investigation, was called in because there were allegations that Sergeant DeMarquavius King concealed information that the police chief's brother here was a suspect in a murder. So basically, the GBI was called in because there's a potential cover-up. You look at what happened with Ahmaud Arbery and so many other cases. Boy, I tell you, Blue Lives Matter, it's looking like the pig's only job is covering up murders. ACAB.
So I'm just saying, like, it just crazy stuff is happening and it's just not going to get highlighted because of whatever individual, you know, is going on in this. I'm pretty sure this isn't getting highlighted because of the police are involved and they're the main suspects in what's going on. But this stuff is going to become more and more common, man. I just ask that y'all protect yourselves. Y'all just try to be mindful and understand that the things that are happening aren't always going to necessarily be in your control, and you just kind of have to react accordingly. And I'm not gonna tell nobody to be no sucker. I'm not gonna tell anybody to resist and do something that may potentially lose their life. But at the end of the day, you got to make a decision for you and what that matters. So it's tough.
Yeah.